Go.
Hello, my name is Katie Manning, and welcome to Geeks Audio Heads, and have a lovely day, Chucks.
There we go.
Hello, this is Audio Heads, Geeks Assembled Audio Heads, and today we're discussing Primord, and have we got a tale for you? This one's got a lot of good stuff in it, and so there are a couple fellas here who I've invited to. Well, they've invited me, or we've invited each other to discuss it because this is amazing. Anyway, I'd like to find out what you guys thought about it, and first of all, the first most important thing, let me tell you, is that John Colshaw and Tim Treloar made a masterpiece. So anything other that these fellows say is probably not this case. But I'll let them say what they'd like. Let's start off with Texas Tim. What do you think of Primord, the Third Doctor tale with Liz and Joe, etc.?
I thought it was excellent. I think that they really did pull out all the stops, and it's kind of risky recasting characters whose actors are no longer around to play them. And I think that they made a good choice this time. Apparently, they had heard Colshaw do the Brigadier in his audiobook reading of The Five Doctors recently. I think that was a year or two ago. And they thought, wow, because apparently they auditioned a bunch of people. They thought, we're going to try and recast the Brigadier and see if we don't get killed doing it. And they went with the perfect choice with him, because Colshaw is famous for doing doctor voices, especially Tom Baker. He's done for a Big Finish before Tom Baker came along. And he does an excellent job. You forget that it's not Nick Courtney. You think it is him throughout. I mean, I think he does a great job. You also have Caroline John's daughter playing Liz Shaw, and she does an outstanding job as well. She sounds exactly like her mother, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's something that's been missing from Third Doctor stories, because you got to the point when all you really had left was Joe, Katie Manning, and Richard Franklin, and pretty much that's it. I mean, it was a good idea to do this, and I think everybody that's listened to it has enjoyed it. There's nobody clamoring that that's not fair or they shouldn't do this. And I think, not to mention, the story itself is very compelling. It's an interesting idea. It's a bit of a sequel to Inferno in a way, but they did a really good job of putting this story together, I think. And I think that it's probably the highlight so far of the Third Doctor range. But I mean, it's all subjective anyway, but I was quite impressed with it.
Well, I'm glad, and you're right about that. You're right about all of that. And let's hear Lee.
Well, yeah, I agree with all what was being said. Yeah, it's always one of those, you come with a trepidation when they recast well-known actors. And sometimes you get these recasts and they don't sound you want them to sound like the actors what went before. And sometimes it doesn't always work, but they have. I mean, Tim Treloar has gone on bounds, reinventing the Third Doctor, and he just, Pertwee just sort of oozes out of him every time he speaks now. And now you've got John Colshaw as the Brigadier. Yeah, once you get into the story, you totally forget it's John Colshaw. And he has got, Nick Courtney's voice mannerisms off to a T. And as it's been said, Daisy Ashford, Caroline John's daughter, who's playing Liz Shaw, the voice, you close your eyes, it's like Caroline's there. It's just amazing. And as the story as well, yeah, it's a sort of a sequel to Inferno, but with a bit of a twist. Even the Doctor doesn't see it coming. And really, this is a Joe and Brigadier story, because the Doctor is not. Shall we say, he's not very well for a few episodes, shall we say. He's under the influence of primordial, whatever you call it. And the Brigadier and Joe sort of come forward in many scenes in the episodes. But it's part of the story, saving the Doctor, trying to save Liz Shaw's husband, fiance. But yeah, I love the story. I mean, this box set, is it box set number 5? This one, yeah, number 5. Out of all the 5, 4 before that, this is my favourite because it's got the feel right. It's got the feel right of the Third Doctor family. I mean, all it's missing is Richard Franklin, but I'm sure he'll pop up in another one with the Brigadier at some point. But that's what I think was lacking in a few of the box sets before, was either the Brigadier, either Benton, or Captain Yates. But this one, it's got the unit feel. It works wonders. Love it. And was it written by Guy Adams? Guy Adams does quite a lot of good stories. So it's a big thumbs up from me, this one, Susan.
Well, I'm really glad that you suggested it. It is a sweet story. The cast
Can I just say, I think you suggested it because I think you had a Brigadier moment.
I have Brigadier moments, but
don't be putting the blame on me.
No, it is your fault. You did suggest it anyway. I'm okay with that. I'm grateful for influence this. That's what I'm saying. The cast, as you've said, both of you, was amazing. I mean, it comes from the past. I mean, here we've got Daisy Ashford, who is the love, as she put in the special features at the end. She calls herself the love child of the Master and Liz Shaw. I mean, I didn't realize that her last name prior to this production was Beavers. I was like, I had to look her up. I had to dig in and figure out which master she was fathered by or daughtered by or whatever that is. And I was like, what? And then Tim Treloar has rocked as the Third Doctor for a long time. Five whole box sets. He really has achieved great things with this. And John Culshaw, he had he'd done impressions and complete voice mimicry of a few people like Sylvester McCoy, like John Pertwee, like Tom Baker, of course. And this was the Brigadier. Okay, I have a new Brigadier, and his name is John Culshaw, and I'm okay with this. I had trepidation in my heart when I started listening to it. I'm like, oh no, what if he doesn't do it right? How am I gonna survive if he doesn't do it right? But he did it right. And then there, John Levine was credited in this. I think he's part of the second story in this set. But let me tell you, you go down the list, and you've got the General, and the General is played by Michael Troughton. Can you believe it? The sadistic general who would like no better than to completely weaponize the Primords, weaponize the Stallman gas and Stallman ooze. Oh my gosh, this green stuff that turns you hairy and grumpy, and he wants to weaponize it because he's a general, and he's apparently one of those sadistic generals, and he's played so well by, I mean, the child of another doctor. I mean, like, this is so family. You know, you say unit family, you say things like that, you say, you know, complete unit story, and yeah, it completes it, that's for sure. And so, I mean, like, and the story is fun too. The doctor, you know, trying to stay freeze dried as he struggles through the effects of the Stallman gas, the Stallman ooze, whatever. You know, that is fantastic. You know, you could actually, and there were some good cliffhangers and stuff like that. So I've given you a couple of mine. What are your favorite moments, fellas? Let's go flip flop. Let's go to Lee first.
Well, as you say, Michael Troutman, yeah, he's a good standout, and you know, his voice is recognisable wherever, and he does have tones of his father as well. What got me was the soundtrack to this as well, the sound effects, the soundtrack. It just literally come out of Inferno. The electronic synth and the heavy breathing of the Primord, and it just brought back good memories of a good story. For me personally, I think it was the Brigadier's little quips here and there, you know, locked in a room and Joe saying, "Don't worry, someone will come along sooner or later," and he says, "Oh, I'd rather be out there now," you know, things like that. But it's just, and as you say, you just picture the Brigadier, and that's what he would have done. He'd want to go all guns blazing. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, there's so many things. Say the Doctor battling with the, but also the twist in the tale of Liz Shaw. Okay, yeah, she was under the influence of the Primord, but she was sort of the villain of the piece with the general, and that came as a shock. I thought, oh, what they're doing to Liz here, but it all works out in the end. We know how, why, and when, and what. So, and it's not a happy ending, as the last words. You know, no, it's not a happy ending, which I'm not going to give it away, but yeah, good story, well written, well acted. Soundtrack is awesome. So bring on the next one.
And Texas, what's your favorite moments, or what are the other parts that you liked?
Well, I agree with Lee. I agree with you too. I think when you heard about this and you think you hear it's not on paper, it sounds fine. Okay, John Coleshaw, he's going to do the Brigadier. Why not? He does everybody. And but when you actually hear it, you're like relieved and like impressed immediately. Like, wow, I had no idea he's going to do it that good. You know, I mean, you forget that you're listening to Coleshaw. I mean, in fact, and this is really a successful release. I think more than anything, it's just they got everything right. Not just the guest voices, but the story itself is very compelling. Like Lee just said, it's got a kind of a shock twist in it. Oh shit, Liz is the bad guy, and that wasn't expected. The music is perfect. It really makes you think it's 1972 or 73 or something. Doctor Who. It's just like, wow, they really pulled out all the stops. I do hope they do more. I think it'd be great if they did some stories back in Series 7, you know, with just the Doctor and Liz and the Brig, you know, maybe a few unit type stories. I'm not trying to push Manning aside or anything. She's great always, but I mean, it'd be good to have to beef up that particular era of the show. I mean, as well, and it was just fantastic. I mean, I think they did such an awesome job. It's hard to pick any particular moments, but as Lee pointed out earlier, also it's great that they gave all the characters something to do. The Brig's not just standing around shouting orders. He actually, him and Joe have a big part of the subplot, which is really good and very welcome as well. So it was a lot of fun.
And to have him conflicted when he was disobeying orders and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, that was brilliant. I mean, here that kind of set the stage for, Invasion of the Dinosaurs and even it was sort of like a direct result of what was that one? I guess Terror of the Autons, when the one general was replaced with the Auton. Or no, that was a direct. You can draw a line from the Spearhead of Space. That's what I'm thinking of. When the big general was changed into an Auton. So I agree. So much good stuff. So many different levels of great storytelling, and
it also gives Liz an interesting story that following her departure from, because she's one of those rare companions that never really got a farewell on television. She just kind of disappeared between her series and the next, and it was said that she went off to Cambridge or whatever. But and they've addressed that in some of the stories they've done with Caroline John. Some of the companion chronicles and some of the novels over the years have addressed how and why she left or when she left. But they do a really good job of just revisiting the character a few years down the road after the fact, and everything seems fine at first until you find out that she's under the influence of some of the Primord.
Stallman gas.
Yeah, so it's really fascinating follow-up on her character.
So like the Bluetooth, you're talking about like Bluetooth and those other stories, right? Yeah. Cool.
I did like the fact in this story that the general uses the Silurian escapade against the Brigadier. I thought that was a good acted out scene. Because the Doctor was always against what the Brigadier did to the Silurians, and hold on a minute, we're only doing what you did to the Silurians. That was a very good scene, that with Troughton and Coleshaw. Brilliant scene, that. Back to you. I really called you Liz then, Susan.
where they gunned him down or whatever.
Well, he blew the old underground base up.
He sealed it.
Right.
Sealed them, yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Anything else? I've enjoyed this high praise for this. I am glad.
More, please.
What's that?
I said more, please. Like I said, I think they should do some more. Strike while the iron's hot. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
This has broadened what they can do with the Third Doctor stories, I believe, by bringing in two characters that they didn't have access to before. This gives them a way to tell different kinds of stories, because it's great to have, the Third Doctor and Joe having adventures, but like I think Lee pointed out, this really gives you the feel of a unit type story, which is missing, which you haven't really been able to pull off with just the Doctor and Joe. So this gives you a whole new context by bringing in these characters that they haven't been used for a while.
Yeah, will they be brave enough? I mean, I don't think it'll happen, but do you think they'll be brave enough?
I think so.
To recast.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Recast Sarah Jane for a Third Doctor adventure.
Oh man, that would be brilliant.
I don't know if they would. I think if they wanted to use Sadie, her daughter, Sadie Miller, people would be okay with that. Even though I don't know exactly if she sounds a lot like her mom, but I mean, I think people would be okay with that. But the idea of recasting her with another actor, I don't know. Yeah. That's a touchy spot. I don't think they want to get into the position where they're just casting everybody.
Yeah, Nicholas Courtney's son, Philip. I don't know if he would ever have been, drawn in. I mean, after his TED Talk, he's basically gone off the radar. So I mean, he's not a jobbing actor or anything, but it sounded like Daisy had been a jobbing actor.
Oh yes, she is. Yes, she is an actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a thought that crossed my mind. If they were going to go across the different seasons of the Third Doctor, would they ever get around to saying, "Oh, do you think we should recast Sarah Jane for the last season of the Third Doctors?" I mean, you'd still have the Brigadier, you'd have Richard Franklin and Patrick Benson.
Well, I think if they were going to do that, they would actually offer her to the fourth Doctor first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean, unless they try that out for the Third Doctor, then say, right, let's get through Tom's recorded.
Because this has broadened what they can do a lot. I mean, this is a good move, I think, and this was the brave move they did, was because a lot of people might have just balked and said, no, you can't recast the Brigadier, and the fact that they did and it was successful is awesome.
Yep. It did give me hard eyes. It was really great.
Well, we say what you've got to realise is that the actors from the TV show aren't getting any younger these days. There is
They've
going to
lost
come a
so
time.
many. Sorry, they've lost so many in the past decade.
There's going to come a time when some of the leading actors will not be here.
Well, hush.
And then they're going to have to totally rethink what they do.
Just don't say that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Don't say that sort of stuff. Oh, Lee, please, just
No.
put them in bubble wrap. Oh my God.
It's been realistic. But if it's been realistic, they're going to have to. It's going to have a knock-on effect to what they produce in the near future.
No.
I think in a way that's what they. I think in a way that's why they did that first Doctor Adventures with the cast of An Adventure in Space of Time, because it gives them, say, okay, this is kind of alternate, this is kind of unbound, this is like an alternate first Doctor Adventures with alternate versions of his, you know what I mean? And they get away with it because it works, but it's never going to be the same as William Russell or Carol Ann Ford. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
And the other thing that's really cool about the way Daisy was portraying her mother was she was, I could tell that she had done, or the way she was portraying Liz is I could tell that she was, trying to aim it towards science. And then there was that sweet moment where the doctor is like, explaining the difference in intellect between Joe and Liz, and like saying, no, Joe, listen, it isn't that you're not intellectual, you've just got a different kind of thing going on. I guess the fangirl in me had been waiting for that kind of discussion at some length. I mean, there was the Rose and Sarah Jane moment in the 10th Doctor years, and so, that was kind of poignant there. But this one was like, discussion of intellect where science, where Liz was all science, where she was an amazing scientist. She was always busy with experimentation and pushing the bounds of science out there. And that was, that it just needs to happen. It needs to be part of the Doctor Who universe, in my opinion. And that's really
science in the tiniest mini skirts.
Oh dear.
And thigh boots.
You fellas. Anyway.
Non-PC. Who cares?
Well, she did.
Yep.
Yeah. You can't change the facts.
No, true. All right. So let's score this if you'd like to. Otherwise, we'll just kind of leave it hanging and do another. No, let's just score it. Let's complete the process so that our watchers will not be like, triggered. Anyway, let's start with Texas. What was your score and your final
It's an
final
easy
bit.
10. They tried something experimental and they got it right the first time, and it's very good, and it makes you automatically think of that time in the show. I mean, it's you can't get much better than that.
Yep.
If you can lose your mind and get involved in this for 2 hours and think that you're watching Doctor Who on TV in 1973, then awesome, job done.
Yep. And Lee, what's your final say and your score?
I've got to agree with what Tim says there. Imagine you watching Doctor Who on TV. It annoys me when people say about these audios, I can't do it. I can't use my imagination to visualize things in my head. That's rubbish. It's audio. It's just so it sets your imagination alive. And these people don't give the audios a chance and give that excuse. That is a very poor excuse, in my opinion. But going back to the scoring, off my soapbox, it's a 10.
Yep. I agree.
I can't give it any more. Don't want to give it any less.
Yep, I agree with you fellas. I'm going to give it a 10. Maybe 10 times 10 to the 10th. Yeah, it was amazing. And as much as I, was afraid of losing the Nick Courtney, John Culshaw brought the Brigadier back, and that was wonderful. Really, really wonderful. Gave me heart happies and heart eyes. So let's do this again in a fortnight, fellas. Let's gather again and assemble again and do another one of these audio adventures, okay? And thanks for watching. Subscribe, share it widely. Give us a like if you feel like it. Join our Facebook group. Go on the Twitter, Tumblr, and Lee's got a really cool Instagram. Jump on his Instagram, check that out. And thanks Texas for coming. And so later this weekend we're doing the show Mask, and what was the other thing? Oh yeah, Battlestar Galactica, the movie from the Battlestar Galactica show also. And thank you for watching, and tell your friends about us. Okay, bye.